Hey, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Tuesday, the 23rd of September. I am recording this on Monday night here in the Paw in Manitoba at the Henry Budd College for Ministry out here on the front deck. And it's a beautiful evening, and I hope that the noise from the traffic isn't picking up too much. It's just finding awkward places to where I can get this recorded. Today marks the day that Jimmy Kimmel comes back on TV, and many are calling this a great feat of the power of the people for pushing Disney to bring him back, and a recognition that free speech is free speech. I think it's quite fitting that I'm here at Henry Budd College for Ministry because this is the building that is here, and the work that they did at first that was in this building was the Bishop's Messengers, which was women being sent out as deacons and messengers of the gospel to go usually to places where men would not go, to save, to reach the people and teach Sunday school and give the gospel of Jesus Christ to people when in a world where many people didn't believe that women had the right to speak, and certainly not the gospel, because women didn't do that, and except they did, and they did because they had the right by God to do so. And they had the wisdom and the knowledge and the courage to do so. In many cases, they had the courage to go places where men wouldn't go. And in its newest incarnation, 45 years old, Henry Budd College for Ministry is a place that is intentional about raising up Indigenous peoples and their service in the church, whether it's people who are learning of lay leaders, lay readers in church, or discerning a call to the diaconate or priesthood and ongoing ministries. The people who come here, there's lots of people who aren't, who take courses through this place, who are not Indigenous, but its primary focus is to support, encourage, and to um, really work with the Indigenous peoples in this community and around our diocese. And we have people from across the country who attend via Zoom. And that's a powerful statement because free speech, again, was not always really the case for Indigenous peoples in Canada, certainly not in the United States either. Free speech is something that many of us take for granted until we can't. And in the past week, the conversation about free speech has become quite heated, and necessarily so, because we are discovering that one person's free speech means that they can call a whole nation to fight, to look down on other people who might think differently than they do. But when the other group stands up, well, that's hate speech and that's wrong. There are many things happening in the world that I don't agree with. And yet I acknowledge that there are people who have sound reason, sound arguments on their from their perspective that are contrary to mine. And while I don't agree with them, and I think maybe many of those things, especially some of the much of the rhetoric that is being used right now around hate and violence against people, and the idea that a group that isn't really a group could be considered a terrorist group when there's no group to be considered a terrorist to be a group, that people could be called to fight, that people could be called thinking that they are doing the right thing because a leader suggests it might be so. It is only free speech if you're able to have that free speech listened to and debated, and go home at night and sleep in your own bed and know that whatever you said, whether it is beautiful and gentle and heard by the world, or considered to be angry or insulting or humiliating to others, you have the right to say it. I have taken on the chin on a fairly regular basis because I'm a woman in ministry, and there's lots of people out there who think that women can't be ministers, and I'm worried that that is going to become even more so, more vocal anyway. That there will be more and more people on that Christian right movement that will state that because I am female, my vocation is not valid. Well, I would disagree with them till the cows come home and beyond. And while I will continue to serve in my role as a Christian woman in leadership, because that cannot be taken away from me, I will not say they don't have the right to say it. I may not like it when people comment and say things, but they have the right to. And by putting myself out here, I allow them, if they wish to make comments, they are welcome to. I don't want them to, and I may not like what they say, but they have the right to. And I do not advocate for the right for them to disagree with me to be taken away. I think, as a matter of fact, that we need to encourage people to have different opinions. I think we need to encourage people to exercise their right to free speech. I also think we should encourage people to do what lots of people did, to cancel their Disney subscriptions because what was happening was not right. I have no opinion about what Jimmy Kimmel did or didn't say. I didn't hear what he said, and I'm not going to go look it up because I just don't want to have enough, I don't want to give time to the person or the memory of the person that he was referring to. Not because that person wasn't a child of God, because he was. And not because he didn't feel passionately about what he did, because he did. But because what is happening around him and around his memory is not helping the world. It is not helping the cause of free speech. It is not helping the cause that people might be able to find a balance, a way to live better in the world. I think we have bigger fish to fry. I am living this week. I am in the Paw, and yesterday, 2 days ago, I was in Snow Lake, where we could literally look out the windows of the church to see across the lake the charred trees from a forest fire that could have completely eliminated a whole community. It didn't. Thanks be to God and for all the hard work of the people who did it and the smart reactions of the people who evacuated on time and the people, again, from around the world who did the work of putting out those fires. That's something that we should be working on. We should be taking all of this energy that people are expending in being angry and calling out about. There shouldn't be anything allowed to be hate speech. And yet what they're calling hate speech is actually simply the other people calling out what they have been doing. We should be expending our energy to find cures for the ills that people are talking about vaccines are bad for, or that Tylenol is a problem for. We shouldn't be spending our time on the silliness and the ridiculousness of arguing about who has more money and who has more power. We should be finding ways to think critically and have cogent, educated, calm conversation, debate, and brainstorming to find ways to change these outcomes of climate change that are causing people to have to be evacuated from their homes. That are the things that are happening where children are getting measles where they never did before, and whooping cough, where people can go to their doctor and say, this is who I am. I believe that I am misgendered, and not be fearful that the information they share with their doctor will be shared with someone else. We should have the right to go to our doctors and speak our truth and help them then help us discover and understand our truth. I am not advocating for anything here except that maybe we need to stand up as communities and express our concern that free speech turned on itself becomes hate speech, and that hate speech, when owned by one community, creates divisions that create things like 1930s Germany and Italy and places where free speech wasn't even given lip service anymore because everybody knew there wasn't any. In our world, we should be working to preserve communities like this, like Henry Budd, where the people who gather here simply want to grow closer to God, and they want to take the love of God for God's people out into the world, and they want the permission and the ability and the understanding that the words that they speak will be accepted. Not necessarily that the people will receive them and say, yes, I believe everything you say, but people will accept them as they say it and say, whether or not I agree with you, you have the right to say it. You have the right to speak your truth. Our society needs us all to stand up. If that means canceling subscriptions, or if it means looking out for our neighbor and looking for our neighbor to say to them, no matter what else is said, you are my neighbor and I will be neighborly with you. That's what we need more of. We need more free speech that speaks freedom, that speaks of peace, that speaks of truth, that speaks of, you know what, you may not agree with me, but that's okay. Let's agree to disagree and go have a coffee. Maybe we all just need that corner coffee shop where we all can debate and have our say, and at the end of it, dust ourselves off and say, well, wasn't that interesting? Let's come back and start again tomorrow. It's not looking an awful lot like we're heading for that direction. But maybe, like all the people who canceled their Disney Plus subscriptions and spoke so that ABC and Disney would listen and bring Jimmy Kimmel back, maybe if we all said to ourselves, we need to have our coffee shops. We all need to reach out to someone and just share a conversation. If that power of what people did to bring Jimmy Kimmel back could be harnessed to bring back real conversation and empathy and a willingness to recognize that difference does not need disdain, then maybe we'd be heading in the right direction. Have a great day. God bless you. And please recognize as you go through your day that the people around you have the right to say what they say, and you have the right to not agree with them without hating them, and vice versa. God bless. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.